Intro. A Minecraft movie is a movie about Minecraft. We all know what Minecraft is at this point. It's the most popular video game out there, and the game where you can play and build whatever you want. It's one of the most open world games out there, and everyone seems to have played it at least once in their life. Other than that, it sold a lot of units too, specifically over 200 million. This movie was in development for a while and came out in April of 2025, making a lot in the box office still, as it's far past its budget. This was written 2 weeks after its release, and it seems to still be going strong, especially on weekends. Now we get into the main part of the movie, the story of Minecraft. The game, not the movie, yet. In the game, the main story includes going to the Nether and getting Ender Pearls to get to the End Portal to defeat the Ender Dragon. By the way, spoilers if you didn't know that. Now, onto the movie's story. Spoilers for this section if you haven't seen the movie yet. The movie starts out like every other movie, showing the studios, but you get to see the Mojang on the screen, which is cool if you've been with Minecraft for a long time. Then, we open to see Steve, like that Steve, in his origin story. It shows how he's been indoctrinated into what they call on the dark side of TikTok, the quote-unquote, the blue pill. Steve goes to what we all yearn for, and that's the mines, with his trusty cube that goes into the crystal. These are what bring him to the overworld portal, a portal that takes him to the overworld, his special location that represents Minecraft. It's full of many different things and so many creativity, so Steve gets to building, as he would. He also gets his dog, famously named Dennis. After this, Steve and Dennis go to the Nether and are captured by Malgosha and her goons. Steve is thrown into a jail cell as he gives the orb and crystal to Dennis for him to quickly run back to his house to return it. Dennis is luckily able to escape the Nether and bring the bag back to Steve's house. After that, we cut to our main protagonists. Henry, who is the little kid, Garrett, the old gamer, Dawn, the animalist, and Natalie, the PR person. Our star-studded cast right there. We have a classic scenario really at hand. Henry and Natalie, who are siblings, remember that, are moving to a new town. They're in Chugless, Idaho, which is where everybody and their fish's mother lives in this movie. After meeting everyone, we see Garrett as he goes to an auction site for basically everything Steve had, only compelled by retro gaming to buy the auction, which he does luckily win. This is just one problem: the Atari he was promised to get was not what he actually got. Big shocker. He only got some stupid orb and crystal. Whatever, no biggie. After Henry and Natalie go on to do their own things, they separate as Henry goes to school. For this part, you have to remember Henry is a big nerd, aka a future STEM major. He first meets Garrett as he goes to school and has a talk with him and gives him some bread. Overall, not a really good trade deal. Then again, he decides, whatever, he does not need the bread. But at school, he builds a jetpack for the skeleton, Mr. Bones. The jetpack gets sabotaged by some bullies, some idiots. This causes the jetpack to go off, which makes Mr. Bones, and by law, Henry, look like terrorists. This is because it doesn't just malfunction, it hits a chip factory and causes the big chip to fall off of the building. R.I.P. Chuggy, we might have to invade Iraq because of that. Luckily, there is a way to avoid trouble. Henry calls Garrett to pretend to be his uncle, and he says yeah. He does it, and it works, proving that this is ancient time. Henry goes to a store with Garrett, where he sees the funny orb and crystal from before. He combines them because Cuban hole or whatever, I don't know. This leads to them all going to the overworld portal, as everyone is in this location, mainly because of Henry. After they all are sucked into the overworld portal, they are introduced to the Minecraft world. The world of creativity and all that other stuff. Meanwhile, with Steve, he has to get the orb back in order to save Dennis, his lovable dog, because Malgosha is keeping him hostage. This is how you know you're dealing with a villain with this little trick of threatening animals. Then it becomes nighttime, rather quickly as pointed out by Dawn. Thank you, Dawn, for that one. No time to applaud though, because zombies and different mobs come out and start attacking the group. This is also the same time Henry uses his MIT knowledge. He is able to place blocks and slowly but surely make a fortress. This is able to hold off the mobs, but the sad news is that the Earth crystal is destroyed in the process, not the orb. Then we watch as the sun rises and Steve defeats all the mobs. Then he introduces himself in a kind manner. Had to make sure we had the right guy. We did, but he has some information to tell us, primarily about replacing the crystal. We learn about the replacement crystal being in the Woodland Mansion, but first they have to learn how to craft. Steve takes everyone to a village so they can learn the magical way, which is very easy. After we learn stuff like this, we learn about crafting table, and that's a crafting table. We see recipes like buck chucks and all the other cool stuff in there. Sadly, Garrett also throws Steve's last ender pearl. No biggie. This was also when we saw the village. The villagers and all that shebang as we hear Lava Chicken, the iconic scene from the movie with a little song to go along with it. Then we meet the Iron Golems, which are important to know for later on in the movie. After that though, the village sadly gets attacked. They get attacked by the Ghasts and the Piglins. The fight breaks out between the Piglin mob and the gang as they fight them off, using creative Minecraftly methods to do so. And they are luckily able to defeat the mobs. Also, the Iron Golems help out right now. This sadly separates Natalie and Dawn from the rest of the group as they are left at the docks of the village. Now the rest of the gang start to head to the Woodland Mansion. This is also around the time Steve tells the others about a hoard of diamonds he has. Garrett, who has the orb Steve is looking for, really wants money, like really bad type. He says he'll hand the orb over to Steve if he gives him the diamonds, and Steve agrees to this. So they take a detour to get the diamonds and the mansion. In the process, make a full man sandwich. After the scene we all wanted, they reach the ground from elytras and continue towards the diamonds. They get to the diamonds and Henry gets mad at Garrett for being greedy. This is honestly a good reaction as Garrett didn't need to pay off his debt. He could have just invested his money in the dip. They get to the diamonds and then continue to the Woodland Mansion through a minecart. The only problem with this is that the Great Hog is after them. They don't have enough power to get to the next redstone torch in a room full of creepers. Garrett has to get out and push them as the Great Hog approaches. Luckily the team escapes the cave and the Great Hog gets blown up by the creepers, so unfortunate for him really. When they arrive at the Woodland Mansion, the plan is simple: distract and get in. They do that, but then Garrett is forced to fight after fighting the chicken jockey and escaping, they meet back up with Henry, who has had a fight with an Enderman. He does what all of us do in Minecraft really, where he swings his diamond sword over and over again to defeat the Enderman. After all of this happens, Malgosha steals the orb from them as Garrett is sacrificed into the blast, I'm pretty sure. He's now gone as Steve and Henry flee the mansion, and we see Natalie and Dawn at their mushroom house. This is where Steve and Henry wake up. As they do, the sun becomes no more as they enter the equivalent of the Nether, aka France. The world is dark and gloomy and full of no hope. It's starting to look super sad, but our heroes have to save the day. They wake up, they mine, they craft, and they go towards battle. This can only be described of going to war during the American Civil War. This is all when war breaks out near the Nether portal as Malgosha holds the orb. The battle breaks out, and it seems like it's going to be a loss for the Union, but luckily not. Henry uses the Ender Pearl to get up to the Nether portal, but then is dropped off of it after being attacked. This is when Garrett appears, and luckily he has a rideable ghast that isn't being used as a suicide bomber. He uses this ghast to bring Henry up back to where the orb is. Henry gets to the orb and combines it with the crystal, which also helps the overworld back to normal. It also kills the army of Piglins and Malgosha as the sun is their weakness. So basically a sunny day in London. This is also where we get the "we need to go back to our life" motivation speech from Steve. Steve tells Dennis this as everyone goes back to Trugless, Idaho. As everyone goes back, they start to live a happier life. It's all sunshine and rainbows as we see their lives turn around. Everyone has a dance party in Garrett's store, and it's fun as we see the credits. In the credits, we see the lives of Jennifer Coolidge and her villager husband now, I think, as they can talk to each other. We are also introduced to Alex from Minecraft. No biggie. The music in this movie is really reflective of what it came from, but this is expected as Minecraft music has always had a certain atmosphere to it. We're going to have to sadly ignore Lava Chicken and the Dennis song to see the music in the movie. The music originally in the game is made by C418 and Lena Raine, as there are nods to the soundtrack throughout the movie. Minecraft, Pigstep, and Dragonfish are played at various points throughout the movie. It goes to show the impact that these songs have on the original player and the people who know them. They're songs that are calm and also meant to invoke calmness. Of course, the movie soundtrack isn't fully like this, only because Minecraft's gameplay is much different than the movie's feeling. I've played Minecraft with friends multiple times and have had these songs come on and thought about the world I was playing in, really. The songs are made to make you think about your surroundings in the game by giving it a calm atmosphere. The movie and the music does a good job, right, of combining this calm and subtle atmosphere with action, but I think that it should have leaned more into action, as the sound font that Minecraft has doesn't work too well for action. It's hard to mix the two types into one, so it feels like it would have been better if they didn't. Other than this, the nostalgia factor is something heavily in play with some tracks, as mainly people reminisce on their older days of playing Minecraft. It's similar and adjacent to something like lo-fi, where people are listening because it's relaxing and can help them feel better, even if that involves running back to a time they think is better. It also helps that Minecraft has been around for so long, so a better day for me or you or anybody who has lived life may be incredibly different, but the soundtrack from the game hasn't changed. Overall, the music from the movie is heavily inspired by the soundtrack of the game, so that's the one that should be looked at with more importance, honestly. For the numbers right now, which are projected to change obviously, but we can start with the box office. With a budget of $150 million and probably a high marketing budget, it seems like it's made its budget back in the box office. As of right now, it's made about over $560 million in the box office, but we can play a fun game with this, that being predicting how much it'll make. The Minecraft movie currently has had the biggest opening of any video game movie, but it seems like that might be because of a trend that can go in any direction, but it seems like it's actually helping the movie. From a low end to a high end of how much the movie is going to make, I think the low end would be around $800 million and the high end is $1.3 billion. It seems like a high range because it is, since the box office is unpredictable. The higher number comes from things seen in like the Mario movie that just came out. I just wonder how much Warner Bros. Will use this movie as a cash cow. All that really matters is if the stories are good. Speaking of story quality, let's take a look at what the critics, who are usually right about things, are saying. On IMDb, the movie has a 6 out of 10 weighted. Unweighted, it's more like a 6.8, which is definitely higher. On Rotten Tomatoes, it has a 47%, and on Metascore, it has a 46. On Letterboxd, it has a 2.8 out of 5. Low scores, but critics don't always rave for things that are box office successes. Critics are always more negative than anything, so these scores aren't really anything to look at. The movie is made to be fun rather than good, but scores never really reflect on that in these sites. Now we can talk about the types of movies that are usually released in Hollywood nowadays. If you think about how many of them are part of a franchise, it says a lot about the strength of an IP. It's no different with Minecraft, a big franchise that has a bunch of people who've bought the game and played it and liked it. Combine the best-selling game with having a young audience, you have something that will produce the most amount of money. It's a movie that is designed to be seen by parents with their kids, but luckily it's a fun movie to see if you're not into that situation or in that scenario. Because of marketing, it gives many people a reason to go see it. A Minecraft movie didn't have a high bar it had to set since most kids would have forced their parents to see it anyways. So the movie, in terms of quality, didn't have to be the best, and honestly was kind of what I expected going into the movie. It's a fun movie, but not a great movie. Let's first define the line of what's fun and what's good. A fun movie is a movie that is something like a B-list movie. A movie that overall you can joke about with anybody who you're watching with. You really meant to laugh and go like, wow, so bad, or whatever you really want to say. Something that gives people a reaction and people a good time while watching it. The phrase "so bad it's good" has also been circulating throughout the internet when it comes to this movie. It feels like that was also the expectation for many with this movie, which is why it feels like it blurs the line between fun and good, because it is both with expectations kind of set low, and also the quality of the movie. It made the movie better by having this phrase be so prevalent and having those expectations. The only problem is now in this movie scenario, it seems like you have to choose one or the other. Was it a fun movie or was it a good movie? It's what I feel like is wrong in this discussion. There shouldn't be a line, it should just be a blurred spectrum of how fun and good it was. I haven't heard anything that was like, it was fun and good, and it should be both if people truly believe that. Anyways, the line is drawn, but I am a believer that it's fun and a good movie, but not a great movie. Obviously, it could have been better with the story, but it felt like an acid trip when I went. Of course, I've never done acid, so I wouldn't know what that's like. But still, it felt like it could have been better, but it didn't have a lot to go off of in terms of story. Overall, you have to realize that Minecraft is an infinite game, so when going into it, just try to distance the movie a little from the game. The game that has no story isn't going to magically make a perfect story in the movie. That's why it's a turn off your brain type of fun movie. It's also fun to spot out all the Easter eggs that are kind of hidden throughout. I won't spoil any Easter eggs as that's for you to find out, but it's full of neat little things kind of similar to how Scott Pilgrim vs. the World did with video games as a whole. Just know to pick them up if you have to have a lot of Minecraft knowledge. But you also have to have a deeper connection to the game. That really is the main audience for this movie, the dedicated fans of Minecraft. After watching the movie and seeing that it was fun and good but not great, I would have to give it a 7.9 out of 10, which out of the 4 movies puts it at the lowest, but that's not bad. It has the chance to beat a lot of other movies that are far worse than it in many aspects, but remember, the opinion is all up to you as the viewer, so always make sure to watch the movie and form your own. Please subscribe, comment, whatever, pretty please.